Back, King Richard here, and today we are making the first of our predictions for the NBA and the NHL. Today will be our NBA predictions for the season as well as for the entirety of the playoffs. Then tomorrow will be our NHL predictions and our NHL playoff predictions. So today we're going to start with the NBA. First, we're going to break down our regular season standings. I haven't gone into the exact numbers yet. I just have where I think everyone is going to finish, at least in the top 8 in both conferences. So I will, at a later date, go in and actually plug in records and give you a game-by-game breakdown of everything. But for now, I'm just going to go into where I think who is going to finish where in the standings. So we will start in the East. The top 2 are no surprise. Cleveland I have finishing at number 1, and Boston I have finishing at number 2. There are no surprises there. Number 3, I have Toronto. Number 4, I have Washington. Once again, no surprises. Those are, by far none, the top 4 teams right now in the Eastern Conference. 5th through 8th, after those 4 teams, everyone else was kind of a toss-up, except for a couple teams like the Knicks and the Sixers and the Nets who are hanging at the bottom of the ring. But all those other teams were toss-ups for where I thought they'd go. So my 5 through 8 breakdown is a little bit interesting. I have Milwaukee at number 5. They have a really good young team developing right now, led by Middleton and the Greek Freak. So they're really looking good. Oh, and Greg Monroe's on that team too, I believe. So they're looking good. I have them finishing at number 5, but 5 through 8 is going to be ridiculously close. They're all going to be around 500. It's going to give or take a game or two, but it's going to be about there for the bottom 4 teams in the East this season, at least in the playoff race. Number 6 is Charlotte. I believe that's where they came in last year. I'd have to double check, but I do believe they will repeat as the number 6 seed this year. Indiana I have coming in at number 7, and Orlando I have coming in at number 8. These 2 bottom ones were a toss-up. Charlotte is a little bit above. Well, Milwaukee and Charlotte are a slight tier above the other 2, but that's how I think it's going to break down. Once again, Cleveland 1, Boston 2, Toronto 3, Washington 4, Milwaukee 5, Charlotte 6, Indiana 7, and Orlando 8. And now we will move on to the Western Conference. We have Golden State at number 1, which shouldn't be a shock to anyone at all. Now, the next 3, group 2 through 4, I could have put in any order. It will end up based on who's healthy, who has injuries, who it's going to be within a game or two for the 2 through 4 seeds. But as I have it standing now, Oklahoma City will take the 2, Houston will take the 3, and San Antonio will take the 4. So those 3 teams is going to be insanely tight. It could be the complete reverse. Houston or San Antonio could take the 2. And Oklahoma could be the 4. I don't know. I want Oklahoma to be the 2. Of course, I'm a Thunder fan. But I do think that is the way it's going to shake out. Oklahoma 2, Houston 3, San Antonio 4. Then the bottom 4 of the playoff bracket. We have the Pelicans coming in at number 5. They just re-signed Drew Holiday to a big deal. They have Davis and Cousins. And they got a couple other young guys in there. So they're looking like a good team. I do think finally Davis and Cousins will have worked out how to play together now that will have a full training camp under their belts. They'll have figured out most of the issues that they've had. So those will be worked out, and there'll be a much better record this year. I want to say around the 47-48 range. The Clippers I have at number 6, just for the fact that despite everything they got back in return for Chris Paul, Blake Griffin is still the center of that team. And despite how good Blake Griffin is, you need someone to complement him. Otherwise, you're not going to get very far. He can take you to the playoffs, yes. That's why I have the Clippers at number 6. But he can't take you all the way, not by himself. Shows what happens when he was the number 1 pick and Westbrook was the number 3 pick that year. And Westbrook is the one with the MVPs and the triple-double records and all that good stuff. All right. My next pick is the bit of a shocker, but shouldn't be to so many people. I have Minnesota coming in at number 7. I know a lot of people were talking about them contending for the 8th seed and fighting for that 8th spot. but I do have them coming in at number 7 over Memphis, who I have coming in at number 8. So that's the breakdown for the West, guys. So I will jump in quick. We will do our playoff matchups here for the East and the West. Our first matchups in the Eastern Conference, we have Cleveland and Orlando. Cleveland's winning that series. That's the 1-8 matchup. Boston and Indiana. Boston will be winning that series. Toronto and Charlotte. Toronto will be winning. And the only upset, at least rank-wise, is I have Milwaukee beating Washington. So the second round of the East will look like this. It'll be Cleveland and Milwaukee, and Toronto and Boston. Yeah. Toronto and Boston and Cleveland are all there, but Milwaukee is the team that I have over Washington. Now, for the second round, I do have Cleveland beating Milwaukee, and I do have Boston beating Toronto, so it will be the much expected and highly anticipated Boston-Cleveland matchup in the conference finals this year in the East. Now, unlike a lot of people, I have Boston winning this series this year. It will be Boston that reaches the NBA Finals over the Cleveland Cavaliers. And LeBron James will probably leave Cleveland after this anyway. Whatever. I don't know. Anyway, now, so Boston is my Eastern Conference champions this year. And probably will be for the next couple of years. Now, out of the West, Golden State-Memphis is the first matchup. Golden State is winning. Then we have San Antonio and New Orleans. A huge 4-5 matchup, but I do have San Antonio. I think this one's going to go 7 games, and it will be up to San Antonio on their home floor in Game 7 to take it, which I think they will. But it's going to be neck and neck the entirety of the series. Houston and the Clippers. It's going to be Houston. And Oklahoma City and Minnesota. Despite Minnesota having a hugely revamped roster with Teague and Butler and Taj Gibson to complement Andrew Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns, they are not going to have the firepower to beat Oklahoma City now that Carmelo Anthony is there. Westbrook, George, and Anthony is just too much firepower for the Minnesota Timberwolves, at least this year. Next year, I do see Minnesota probably climbing up to like the 5 or the 6, somewhere around that area. But Oklahoma City will be winning this year against Minnesota in the first round. Now, round number 2, we have Golden State and San Antonio. Golden State's going to win. And we have Oklahoma City and Houston. This is going to be a hugely contested series. Very, very tight. I could see it going to 6 or 7, probably 7 games. But I do think Oklahoma City will pull it out just barely. It's probably going to be 7 on Oklahoma City's home court. But it's going to be Oklahoma City that pulls it out. So the conference finals, of course, Golden State and Oklahoma City, probably the 2 most powerful teams right now in the Western Conference. It would have been the other way if Carmelo Anthony had been traded to Houston, and then I would have been having Houston over Oklahoma City. Well, Carmelo Anthony is the difference maker for Oklahoma City this year. But I do not think it will be enough this year. Once again, they will come up just short this season. Golden State will move on. Next season, I think Oklahoma City will be the ones possibly to overtake them. But if not, it'll be 2 seasons down the line when Golden State has to split. Now, so my predicted finals is Golden State and Boston. East versus West. It would be a great matchup if it happens. But my final 4 teams, Cleveland, Boston, Golden State, Oklahoma City, could realistically be entered in any way, shape, or form. Any 4 of them. It could be Cleveland, Oklahoma City. It could be Boston, Oklahoma City. It could be Cleveland and Golden State. It could be Golden State and Boston. It could be any of those 4 matchups. Any of them could happen that way. But the matchup I do think will happen is Boston and Golden State. I would really love to see Oklahoma City and Boston. That would be the matchup I really, really want to watch. But I don't think it'll happen this year for me. But anyway, guys, yep, Golden State, I have winning the title once again. This, I think, may be their last title of this dynasty. Because next year, it's going to be all about who's staying and who goes. There's going to be a lot of tension in the locker room, except for Curry, who's secure. The rest of them, it's all going to be tense and rough, and it's going to be they'll do well, but I don't think they'll have a championship season like I do think they will this year. So, that is it, guys. Once again, Golden State beats Boston. I have them winning that in 6 games for the NBA championship. That is my predictions for this year. I hope you enjoyed them. Please comment what you think and tell me your own predictions. I want to hear what people have to say. So I want to know what you think, and then I'll debate you and tell you whether I think you might be right or whether I think you're just nuts. Either way, I want to hear from you. And please hit that subscribe button. It means the world. It really does, especially for a starting up YouTuber like myself. Every subscription is absolutely huge, and every like is even bigger. So please do both, guys. I really appreciate it. King Richard signing off. I will see you guys next time for the NHL.